One of the most powerful takedowns of social hierarchy I've ever come across, it isn't from some modern philosopher or think tank. Nope, it's from a 2,500-year-old conversation between a king and a monk. And it is an absolute masterclass in logic that feels like it could have been written yesterday. So let's dive in and see how this ancient argument can actually help us deconstruct our own modern ideas about identity. Okay, so this was the foundational belief system back in ancient India. A really, really bold claim of absolute, divinely ordained superiority. It wasn't just an idea, it was an accepted truth that created this incredibly rigid social structure. The Brahmins, the priestly class, basically declared, we're the purest, we're the best. We are literally the only true sons of God. And it's this exact claim that gets presented to a wise monk named Mahā-Kaccāna for, well, a little examination. So let's picture the scene. We're in the ancient city of Madura, and the local ruler, King Avantiputta, he's kind of stuck. On one hand, he's hearing all these confident claims from the Brahmins about how they're at the top of the pyramid, but on the other, he's hearing whispers about the incredible wisdom of this monk, Mahā-Kaccāna. So he seeks him out to ask a huge, fundamental question. Is this whole social order for real? Is it a reflection of reality, or is it just a story we've all been telling ourselves? And this is where it gets really fascinating. The monk's entire counterargument, the whole thing, hinges on the interpretation of a single, crucial word from the ancient Pali language, vanya. And as we're about to see, how you understand this one word completely changes your view of society and your place in it. It changes everything. Okay, check this out. On one side, you have the standard, literal translation of varna, which is caste or class. This implies a fixed, permanent box you're born into, something that defines your inherent worth. But Mahā-Kaccāna uses this brilliant analytical tool called niruti, which is all about getting to the root meaning of a word. And the root of varna, it actually means to cover. So from this point of view, varna isn't a box you're trapped in, it's a covering you wear, kind of like a coat. It's an external label, not your internal essence. The difference is huge. So which one is it? This is the very question Mahā-Kaccāna puts to the test. Instead of just stating his opinion, he leads the king through a series of brilliant thought experiments, basically reality checks, designed to see if the Brahmin's claim holds up against the real world. Let's walk through them together. First up, the test of the great equalizer, money. And this is smart, right? Mahā-Kaccāna doesn't start with some abstract philosophy. He starts with something practical that a king understands perfectly, wealth and power. He poses this simple scenario to the king. Imagine a person from the so-called lowest class becomes rich. Could they then hire a Brahmin, someone from the so-called highest class, to be their servant? To wake up before them, obey their commands, and be polite. What does reality actually show us? The king's answer is immediate and absolute. Yes, of course they could. Just like that, wealth completely flips the supposed hierarchy. A rich person from any class can command a poor person from any other class. The king himself admits that when it comes to money, all the classes are exactly the same. In his own words, he sees no difference. And boom, the caste system has just failed its first reality check. All right, let's move to the next test and see how this argument builds. Mahā-Kaccāna shifts from the laws of economics to the universal laws of morality, or karma. His next question is simple. Do the consequences of our actions depend on the social label we're wearing? So he asks, if a person from any class does harmful things like killing or stealing, what's their outcome? And what if they do wholesome things like being kind and honest? The conclusion is unavoidable. Consequences are tied to the action, not the actor's social status. The universe doesn't check your birth certificate before delivering cause and effect. And once again, the king concedes. For both good and bad deeds, the outcome is identical across all four classes. The crucial insight here is that reality operates on a system of action and consequence that completely ignores social hierarchy. The Brahmin claim has now failed its second test. The third test brings the argument right into the king's own domain, his court of law. And this is where the idea of identity as a temporary label really comes into sharp focus. Mahā-Kaccāna presents a new scenario. What if a member of the noble warrior class is caught red-handed breaking into a house and stealing? The king's men bring this person before the court. The question is, what is he now? The king's response is profound. He says that the person's former identity, their label, or samanya, of warrior, has simply vanished. Poof, it's gone. It was a temporary designation that no longer applies because their actions have completely contradicted it. This word, samanya, is critical. It means a convention, a designation, a name we simply agree upon. It's not an unchangeable essence. This means your social identity is conditional. And this insight perfectly supports that root meaning of varna as a covering, something you can take off, or in this case, have stripped from you by your own actions. So what is his new identity? According to the king, he is no longer counted as a warrior. He is counted only as a thief. His actions have given him a new covering, a new label. This proves identity isn't fixed at birth, it's fluid, defined by what we do. The Brahmin claim is just crumbling under the weight of simple, undeniable logic. For his final and perhaps most powerful argument, Mahā-Kaccāna explores the ultimate identity change available at the time, becoming a spiritual ascetic, a path of renunciation open to absolutely everyone, regardless of their birth. He asks the king to imagine someone from any of the four classes deciding to leave their old life behind. They shave their head, put on simple robes, and commit to a life of virtue. Through these universal actions, they adopt a new and highly respected identity, that of a samana or ascetic. And for the last time, the king agrees completely. He says he would bow to this person and offer them support regardless of their origin. Why? Because their former identity as a warrior, a merchant, or a laborer is gone. They are now defined entirely by their spiritual commitment. And the king confirms for the fourth and final time, "In this, I see no difference." And so the conclusion is clear. Through four simple, undeniable tests, Mahā-Kaccāna has systematically shown the king that the Brahmin's claim of inherent superiority has no basis in reality. It doesn't hold up to the logic of money, morality, justice, or spiritual potential. It is, as the monk suggested at the very beginning, nothing more than an empty sound, a mere noise in the world with no substance behind it. This 2,500-year-old deconstruction of identity leaves us with a powerful set of questions for our own time. We might not use the word varna, but we all wear coverings, job titles, social labels, nationalities, online profiles. This ancient dialogue invites us to ask, which of our identities are truly fixed and which are just temporary coverings, dependent on our actions? And maybe the most important question of all, what is the unchanging reality that lies beneath them all?